So hello everyone, welcome to this another video of Scale Up India. I'm Abhishek Verma and you are watching the Hibernate series. So till now we have seen various ways of generating the primary keys with the help of auto strategy or identity strategy or UUID. Then we also saw that how we can make usage of the composite primary key, and for that also we tweaked our code a little bit. But here the thing was that all these primary keys are going to be surrogate in nature. Now what do we mean by saying surrogate? Because these IDs are generally generated after you are saving your row into the database. Besides that, there was no, let's say in the real world, there was no meaning of that particular ID, or there was no literal meaning of that particular pet ID. Now you will say that okay, in that case we learnt in the composite primary key that we can provide the ID as well as pet ID on our own. But there also if you see that still that ID or that particular pet ID was not something natural. That was just a kind of a serial number for us, and it was just a new way of writing. Yeah. But besides this, if we see in our owner class, we were having something like email and mobile number, and we were making them unique in nature. So that means with the help of email ID or mobile number, I should be able to identify a particular owner. I should be able to retrieve their data from the database. Yeah, I hope you will agree with me. Now besides this, you will also say that okay, that you can do with the help of their first name and last name also. But the problem is this first name and last name can be duplicate in nature. You will say that okay, then go for the combination. So I'll say that even it can be duplicate in nature. Because even if I remember in my college, there used to be 5 people with the name of Abhishek. Not in the whole college, but even in my class, even in my batch only. And the batch was of something like 20 people. So in the group of 20 people, there were like 5 Abhishek itself. Interestingly, only Abhishek Verma was one. But if I consider about the whole college, then there we can find so many Abhishek Verma. So hence, we can say first name and last name can't be something like unique. Even the combination can't be unique here. But your email ID, that is going to be unique. So even when you are watching this video on the YouTube, then you must have logged in with a particular Gmail ID. And that Gmail ID belongs to you only. No one else can take that particular Gmail ID. One thing can be there that okay, after some time, let's say that if you deactivate your Gmail ID, then there may be some chances. I'm not sure about those Google policies, but yeah, there can be that someone else may take. Otherwise, it is going to be unique. Same with the mobile number. So mobile number is again going to be unique to a person only until unless we deactivate. But there are, we can say, a little bit chances that you are going to deactivate your mobile number, you will take a new, and hence mobile number can't be unique. But email ID for sure is going to be unique, whether it's a Gmail ID, Hotmail ID, or any other ID. And nowadays, all of us are making usage of those email IDs. Even when we say that we are in the 10th class, 8th class, then also we need to give those board exams, and at that time also we need to create some email IDs. So all these things needs to be done here. So can we do in our code something that instead of the ID, can we fetch a particular owner with the help of their email ID? Or can we fetch the owner with the help of their phone number? You will say that yes, that should be possible. So later on we will be learning something about Hibernate query language. So there we can give a where condition. We will say where email equals to this, or mobile number equals to this, or even we can say first name equals to this, last name equals to this. But I'm not talking about that. For this, again you need to go for a query language. I'm saying, is it possible that just with the help of default Hibernate methods itself, you can send the email ID and you can fetch the owner from the database? Now in order to make this thing possible, we need to learn the concept of natural ID. So let's directly dive into our code and see how this concept of natural ID works and how we can utilize this. Now before starting with the code, I just wanted to show you this screen. So as you can see that for our lifetime, like we started our channel on 11th July 2022, and since then we have gained 608 subscribers. So I mean, there are so many playlists available. This Hibernate playlist is going on. Besides this, we were having the JDBC playlist, Maven playlist, Java 8 features. So you need to support me a little bit more. We need to increase this count. We need to increase our community. So please do support from your side, and for that you just need to like the videos, you just need to comment, so that YouTube identifies them as good videos, and then it reaches to more and more audience, and we can grow our subscribers and we can grow our community here. Now let's move towards our code. So as always, I'm ready with my demo 7, and here if I go, so I'll directly show you this entity class first of all. Now I hope that all the text size is fine here, and as you can see that we are making usage of the identity strategy in the primary key. So we have studied various different kind of strategies. Among them, my favorite for this series is going to be identity series. Hence you will see that on all our next demo onwards, we will be making usage of this identity strategy only. Depending on your project requirement, you can go for some different strategy also. That's not an issue. Now my point was that can we make usage of this mobile number or email ID? And as of now, since we are just starting, so let's consider that we will be making usage of email ID. So the question appears is, can I pass an email ID to the database or to the Hibernate, and in return can I get the owner directly? Now for this, obviously there must be some kind of method, but the point is that those methods say that it is possible that you can pass a particular variable and you can get the unique owner. But for this particular thing also, you need to make your email ID as a natural ID. Now you will say that how this natural ID is going to be different from this ID. So this ID represents your primary key. Now primary key is there for the particular table. In general, maybe this primary key is not that much really primary key. I mean, it is not going to be a case that you are going to meet your friend and you will say, okay, your primary key is 10 and my primary key is 12, something like this. I mean, that is not going to be the conversation here. This primary key is still unique for this particular table only, for this particular database only. There can be an ID 10 here, there can be an ID 10 in some other table also, which may mean something different. But here, when I say this email ID, so we know that this email ID literally exists in the real world also, and it belongs to this particular person. Hence, we can say that in general, if I want to say whether this person, whether two people are unique or not, we can take the help of their email IDs. Or in the other terms, you can say that in India, we can take help of their Aadhaar numbers also. So with the help of their Aadhaar number, with the help of their PAN card, with the help of their driving license, we can say that, okay, this particular person is unique. Or if you are in, let's say, watching from some other country, then there is again something like SSN number, I guess, something that kind of thing, or some citizen ID should be there. So you can tell me in the comment section, like if you are watching from outside, and then you can tell me what is going to be some kind of primary key there for you, for the citizens. But here, as of now, let's take help of this email ID. Now the question is that, okay, now I have decided that this email ID, I want to fetch data with the help of email ID. What are the extra things needs to be done here? Now the extra things which needs to be done here are that you need to make it as your natural ID. Now the question is how that can be done. So for this, what we will do is we'll just click here, and besides this, we will say here @natural. I mean, that's the simplest name ever possible here. So we will just say natural, and here it comes, natural ID. Now you will see a difference here. The difference is that till now most of the annotations which we were getting, they were coming from the Jakarta.persistence, that is JPA directly, which means that in future if you are going to switch from Hibernate provider to some other implementation, let's say Eclipse link or something else, then also you will be able to utilize those annotations. But For this natural ID, if you will switch in future, then you won't be able to use it, because this natural ID is being provided by Hibernate only. As of now, JPA directly doesn't provide this particular natural ID. That this is something unique thing from Hibernate itself. Yep. So let's utilize this. So this is natural ID, and as always, let's try to understand what is there in this natural ID. So here this natural ID is a very basic annotation, and it simply says that okay, there is one particular variable here which says mutable. Now what do we mean by mutable here? Now the thing is that I'm saying that my email ID is going to be my natural ID, but let's say that after some time I wish to change my email ID. So can we allow our users, can we allow our owners to change their email ID or not? That will depend on this mutable. So if you will say that this email ID is not going to be immutable, that is, it is going to be immutable, then whenever the person will try to change, they will face some kind of error. Now by default this mutable is false, which means it cannot be changed. But we know that okay, people may tend to change their email IDs in future. Yeah? Although the condition is that even if you are changing, it should be unique in the whole column. It should not be a case that you are taking someone else's email ID. For that, later on we can put some different logics in our service layer also. But as of now, let's allow them to change. And again, this depends on your requirement. Do you want to change them or not? By default it is false, and if we will say true, so that means you are allowing them actually to change their email IDs in future. So here let's say mutable equals to true. So I hope that's clear. And if you want to mention anything, so by default it is false. Now here, since this is an ID, so here we saw that the moment we are entering @ID, they used to become nullable, false, as well as unique true. So this thing used to be implemented automatically there. Now what about with this natural ID? So the thing is that when we say natural ID, it automatically becomes unique. So you don't need to mention this thing here, and you can remove this very easily. When you are saying it is a natural ID, automatically it is going to be unique. Mutable simply means that it is unique, but in future you are allowed to change your email ID. There is no issue with that particular thing. Now, can it be nullable? The answer is that you may find it little strange, but the answer is that by default natural ID can be null in nature. So if I remove this thing also, and if I start making it something like this, then we will say that your email ID is going to be your natural ID. It is going to be unique in nature, but it can be null. So which means that we can add a person without email ID also. Yeah, and that is fine, because later on we can change the email ID. So later on we can change the email ID from null to something else. That is allowed. But in our requirement, we want that okay, email ID should not be null. So what I'll do is I'll give this nullable false explicitly here. So I hope this thing is clear to you. Otherwise you can just go back and view this again. So this we have done, natural ID and something like this. Now beside this, do we need to do anything extra here? The answer is no. We don't need to do anything extra here, because if we see, setter and getter are already here. Yeah, and this particular toString method is already here. So rest of the things are going to work fine here. So that's it with your natural ID. Now let's see that how we can utilize this. So for this, first of all, we need to go to this particular thing class, and we say that from our user we want to accept this. So for that there should be input util, and here I have already given some hints for me. Now I want to put a little bit time on this thing also here, that whenever you are coding, so at that point of time, many times it happens that you know that in future or after some time, let's say the next day or after a few hours, you want to add something, you want to modify this particular method. Now for those times what happens is that sometimes it's still there in our mind, but let's say there are chances that we may forget, and then we completely forget to add those details. So hence the solution is that you always try to leave a comment for yourself that yes, something new needs to be added here. Just give a hint so that you can get an idea. If you wish, you can give some little bit of more details also. Now you will see that here not only I have given a comment, but I'm also using something like keyword to do. Now this to do is a default keyword for your Eclipse. So what happens is that when you take your cursor here, it automatically understands that this is actually a task which needs to be done. So let's say if I remove this here, now this becomes a normal comment, and then there is no issue with this. But the moment I say here to do, then it will start looking like this. And here also you are getting some this kind of a symbol that okay, to do means there is a task which needs to be performed by you. Now you will say that okay, what is the advantage of it? Let me show you. So the advantage, let me first remove this, and now let's do something here. So what I'll do is I'll just run the SonarLint. Now I'm not sure whether you are aware of SonarLint or not, but this is a particular tool which should be there in your IDE. So after executing your code, you should always run this SonarLint. So let's click on this analyze and see here. And here you see that currently when I'm just giving a normal comment here, then it is not telling me anything. It is telling me some to do, but these are in other classes, not for this class. Yeah. Now let me do it here, to do, and I'll just save it. Now after this, let me again click here and say SonarLint, analyze, and say OK. So now after doing this again, here you see in the input util, this SonarLint says that okay, there is something and this task needs to be completed. So this is the advantage of SonarLint, that it can first of all tell all your mistakes. Not only your mistakes, it can tell what is extra in your code and all other things also. Like here it is saying me that okay, this is a particular variable which is unwanted, so you should remove it, because as per logic there should not be anything extra in your code. Any unwanted thing should not be there, any commented code should not be there. But these kind of comments you want for your own purpose only, so that you can remember. And hence SonarLint is also saying that there is a particular task which is pending to be done here. Now for this, it is your duty to complete this particular task. So hence I say that always make usage of SonarLint. Not only this, it will also help you in order to enhance your code a little bit more. Currently in our code, if we don't see any kind of mistake here, which means our code is a perfect one. Yeah, it is basically just showing us about the sysout. That is also it is showing because it says that code should be having logs instead of sysout. I mean, in reality, you will be running on a particular server, so you are not going to check the sysout in your console. You will be able to check the logs, but our code is simple, hence we are as of now good with the sysout statement. But in the reality, when you are keeping your code in the production, there shouldn't be any sysout. Everything should be logged only. And always do a SonarLint check at the end of your code, and adding this as a plugin is very easy. So you can just go to window, you can add the SonarLint, and it is going to be helpful. And if you feel that I'm just doing any kind of promotion, the answer is no. It is an important tool. There is no promotion in this. And even if you are in a production environment, if you are working with a particular client, then you must be knowing that it is in many of the projects, this is mandatory to have a SonarLint report at the end, that there are no bugs and nothing issues in your code. So it's always a good practice. So here it says that okay, we are now coming back to our code here. So here it says that okay, we need to accept one more option. So obviously if I'm saying that okay, now I want to fetch by email ID, so let's add a new option. One option is you change all the existing ones, but instead of doing this, what I wish to do is let me just add a new option here. So we'll say here press 5 and fetch owner details with email ID. So with the help of email ID, we want to fetch the owner details. Then we say that, okay, we want to accept it from the user. So let's add the number 5 here. So this also we have done. So it was so easy to add a new option for me. And now since I have done this particular job, so I should be removing this. That is also a practice. I mean, it should not happen that you keep the thing there itself. You should remove all these extra things. Now this is done. Now let's go back to this demo and accept it here also. So here you can see here I have already added this case 5. I mean, by default it is ready with me, and I'm saying that this is the method accept the email ID. So it is just going to accept your email ID here. So what it will do is that it is going to accept the email ID, and then it is going to call the method of your owner service. So let's have a look there. So we will go. Now instead of directly coming to service sample, I want to show this thing, the owner service interface. So try to make your methods as simple as possible. So you see here I'm having two methods and both of them are by the same name. So try to make usage of polymorphism as much as possible in your code. I mean, here you can tell me this concept, is this concept overloading or overriding? Because I'm having two methods, both of them are having same method name but different argument data types. So you tell me in the comment section whether this is overloading or overriding. So this can be done. You don't need to give a very big name and saying find owner by email ID. Until and unless required, you can make your things simple like this also. Now let's go to this service IMPL and try to implement. So here also I have done again this particular thing, otherwise it would have given me the errors. So what I did, I made it by saying return null, but I also don't want that it will always return null. So I added a comment with a to-do that yes, you remind me next time if I forget. So the to-do is always going to help you out. Now let's try to do this, and for this again, first of all, what we will do is let's do something interesting. Let's copy this particular implementation from here for the normal find owner, and let's provide it here. So here we say that okay, this is email ID and we need to pass it on here. So I'm just passing it here. You see it is working fine, which means in my repository also there must be some method which is accepting a string. That also we can just have a look here. So you see in the repository also I have done the same way. I have created one more find owner method which is accepting the string email ID, and that one will be invoked here. Now let's come back here, complete this particular logic, and then we'll go to the repository. So now again we are saying that if this is null, also again make a best practice to make usage of this objects.asNull. I mean, you can tell me whether this looks more better or just simply saying equals to null looks more better. And if you see the implementation of this is null, it is same, but you tell me which one is more, like which one looks more good to you. Now here we say owner not found exception, same we are throwing, and here also we should be returning the email ID. Here something like this we are returning. But if we say owner not found, so if we say this owner not found, then in our src main resources it will lead to can't find owner with owner ID, and then it will give some email ID. So instead of this I have already created one more this particular message here, and that's a better message. I'm saying can't find owner with email ID, this particular thing. So for this also I have already used it here. That's why it was saying earlier unwanted variable, because till now I haven't used it. So let me just copy this name and keep it somewhere here. So something like this I can just keep it. So like this again you can do. So this is done. Once it will give you owner, then rest of the things are same. So this method is same which you were using on top, because what you are basically doing, you are converting an owner entity to DTO, so that will remain same. And now we can remove this particular thing also. So that is again done. So there is no issue with this class. At the end there should be no yellow symbol, nothing unwanted in your code. So afterwards let's move towards the repository. So we said we were having this method, let's go to its implementation here. So here also we see that we are having a particular implementation with us for this particular thing. Let's see how we can again utilize, and for this let me do copy this particular thing here. So I'll copy this and I'll paste it here. Yeah, something like this. Now this open session again you need to do, because you know that whenever we need to interact with the database we need to have this particular session. Now let's provide the email ID here, something like this. So you see that I'm not getting any kind of error. My code looks fine as of now. It says get and I'm passing something like this. Yeah. Now why is it working? Because your implementation of get says that it can be any object here. It don't says it is going to be integer only or it is going to be string only. It can be any object. Hence it is working fine. But the moment you are going to execute this, the code is going to fail here. Then this is not going to work fine for you. Let's try to see whether this is going to work for us or not here. So I'll go to this particular demo and let me just remove the implementation here. So this is the one. Let me go to this demo here and let's execute. And before this, let me show you in the database. So as always, my database, you see table doesn't exist. Yeah. So let's do this and see. So as of now, we feel that if we are making usage of that natural ID, so this is going to work. All of you agree with me. Then here it is showing me all these 5 options, and this is again showing me this. And you can see that even when I is making usage of that email ID, so there is nothing much different in this particular logs here. So you see this email ID is still a varchar not null because we explicitly mentioned, and this is unique. So even if we haven't mentioned anywhere, so in the owner, if you remember, we didn't mention that email ID should be unique. It made it unique because of this natural ID. And then even if you go till end, so for email ID, it's not saying anywhere something different. So primary key is still your ID only. So it's not that now your primary key is a combination of ID and email ID. It's just your ID only. Go to your database, and here also you won't find anything much difference here. It will still look your same as always, because your at the rate natural ID is only related with the Hibernate. It has nothing to do with this database directly. That's a Hibernate feature here. Let's go back here. Now what we will do is that instead of adding, because this first 4 things are always same, so what we have done here is that we'll go to this data.sql, say open with text editor, and here let's copy all these things, Control A, Control C. Let's go here, save file, new query tab. Let's paste them here. Here this is already selected. Let's select these all and say run. So we see 72 rows have been added. Now let's come back here and let's execute this. So you see I'm getting all this data here. Maybe this font size is a little bit small for you, but I don't think so I can increase this particular font size, so you need to bear with it. I mean, you can try the things on your own. I'm sharing everything with you. So we have this, so let's pick a particular thing from here. So let's say this Jane Smith we are picking. So I'll copy this, and it is having IDs too, so we'll try both the ways. Yeah. So here we are in this particular logic. So first of all, let's try to fetch the owner by ID only by saying 2. So ID of owner is 2, and you can see I'm getting the details, ID 2, first name Jen, and everything. So our normal primary key is still working fine here without any issue. Let's say Y, and now let's say 5. Let's enter and give this email ID. Now it says the argument could not be converted to the identifier type of entity, this owner. The reason why it is saying this kind of error, because the issue is in your repository IMPL, and the issue is that your get method was supposed to get a primary key here, not the natural ID. So this was supposed to be a primary key. Hence it means that you cannot use the get method along with your natural IDs. So for this you need to go for a different kind of method. I hope that is clear to you. Now let's see what can be the different method. So here the different method goes like this. So we will say here by something like this. We'll keep on checking here, and here we will say by simple, and then you see we were getting the option of natural ID. So we are getting these two options. We can either give the entity class or the entity name. So let's take this ID identity class, and this is your owner dot class here, because we want to fetch it from the owner. Hence we are passing here owner in this particular one by natural ID. Now after this, if I say something like this, will this work? The answer is not, because it is not going to provide you the data output as owner. It will give you something like this, load access and something. Now we'll say here dot load, and we'll come here something here. Yeah, and in the load we need to provide basically what is going to be our natural ID value. So here I say that first of all I'm saying by natural ID. So what I'm saying that from this particular class, fetch the details with the help of a simple natural ID. And what is the value of that natural ID for me? It is the email ID. So this email ID is actually your value here. So in the load you are providing your email ID here. So this is going to provide you. So if the value exists, it will provide, otherwise it will give you null. So it's a simple thing. Either it will give or it is not going to give. Same way like you were having your get. So here primary key, this is the way, natural ID, this is the way. So this we are providing here. I hope this is simpler, nothing much different here. Now let's execute the code again, and you don't need to remove anything or do anything else for this. Let's give it the same try. So first we'll go for 2, we'll go for like this. So we are able to fetch. Now let's say y, and now let's say 5, and let's give the ID. So now when we give the ID, so you see it is able to first of all execute the query. So you can see in the query at the end it is saying where email ID equals to this. So automatically it has created. Automatically it will come to know. Now you will say how it will come to know that this string is actually an email ID only, because like although we have mentioned here, but what if here if I say ABC, and here also I will say ABC. So it is not showing any error. So how it will come to know that this ABC actually represents an email ID? The reason is the simple natural ID is going to work only and only when you are going to have one natural ID. Only then it is going to work automatically on that particular thing. Yeah. So that's the reason here. Your arguments need not to be same. I mean, in order to make it more readable, I can't give ABC. I need to give it email ID. But the thing is, this line is going to work when only and only when you are going to have a single natural ID, and it is going to show you all the data. So I hope this is more better. And same thing now, if you wish, you can use in here also, in this delete owner and update pad details. Here also you can use. So instead of going with the get method, if you wish, you can go for your this particular bySimpleNaturalId method also. So like you can just, let's say, let me just give a try here. So copy, and you can paste it like this. So you can paste your things here. Obviously then you need to provide the email ID. So I hope you are getting my point, but I'm not going to show this completely, and I'll leave it to you so that you can give a try out here, because I'm having something more important to showcase after this. So this we have done now. Now after this, the next question comes up is that, okay, we understood the concept of natural ID. The simple thing is that here we can consider any parameter as natural ID that should be unique in nature, and yeah, then it is going to work fine for us. So this can be used along with your primary key. So I'm not saying that leave the primary key completely, but we are using something besides our primary key, that's a natural ID. Now the next question. The next thing is, can we have 2 or more natural IDs? Which means, can we have multiple natural IDs in our code? Because sometimes we may want to have multiple natural IDs also. The answer is yes, you can have multiple natural IDs also. So if you wish, you can have something simply like this also. So there can be two natural IDs. Yeah. So that is possible here. Now if there are two natural IDs, then you will say that okay, then this method is not going to work by simple natural ID, because now how will you provide two different things in that particular single argument? And yeah, your question is right. So I hope till now we are on the same pitch, that we can go for multiple natural IDs also. This is the way. Then you just remove the unique from here, that can be done. And yeah, when you are having two natural IDs, then it won't automatically provide you a unique, because then it will automatically understand that okay, now you want to go with a combination. Then obviously you don't want unique on your email ID and mobile number. You want to allow them to be duplicate in nature. Yeah. So as of now we won't go for two natural IDs, we'll go for single only. But let's see that how to code here. So if there are two natural IDs, how we can code in this one? So for this, what I'll do is I'll just comment this particular part and I'll just provide it something like this here. So if there are two natural IDs, then you can go for some method like this. So you will say session, and then after this session, instead of saying byNaturalId, so you will say byNaturalId. So instead of saying bySimpleNaturalId, you need to go by the word byNaturalId here. So this is natural ID, and again here this is the same thing. You will say owner dot class. So this is going to work for us. Now after this, you will say dot using. Now this is the way here. You can't directly go with the load. You need to say using. Now here in the using, it is basically going to take a key value pair. So you will say email ID. Now this email ID is exactly your variable name which was available here, email ID. This is your variable name for this particular one. So you will say email ID here, and this is your email ID argument which you are passing from this. So this, and then you say here load. So this time load is not going to accept any arguments. So this is the one. So when you have multiple, then you can use like this. You say that how is this possible, like how to use this. So let me just first of all divide it in multiple lines and let me show. So now let's say we are just as an assumption that we are having two things as natural ID, this and the mobile number. So let me copy from there. So this variable name you need to copy, not the column name. So you need to provide the variable name here like this. And here you can provide your another one, that is 987654321. I mean some name like this you can automatically provide. Yeah, obviously you will be taking from the arguments, not going to provide directly, but here for the example only I'm showing you. So if there are multiple, then you can execute it like this. Getting? I hope now this is clear. So if you are having a single natural ID, make your usage of this. If you are having multiple natural IDs, then you need to code it like this, and you need to provide all the variables here. Now the question is it going to search by saying where email ID is this and mobile number is this, or it will say where email ID is this or mobile number is this? That you tell me in the comment section, so that at least I know that whether you are getting ID or not and you are trying the demos or not. So your question is whether it will say email ID and mobile number, or it will say email ID or mobile number. I'll show you this maybe in some different kind of short video for the complete explanation, but till then you can tell me in the comment section. So this also we have done, and currently we are not using mobile number as the natural ID, so let's remove this. I hope till now the concept is clear to you. So this is the thing. Yeah, now will this work? will this using work for the case of simple natural ID also? The answer is yes. This is going to work. So you can go by this way also, you can go by this way also. I leave both the things here, and let me just re-execute this. For before that, let me copy this thing here, and I'll say this demo. I'll execute it here, and let me again say 5 and this. So this time also again you see it is able to work perfectly, same like a previous way. So for the single, both will work. If there are multiple natural IDs, then obviously you need to go by this way, you need to provide multiple. So that's it with this video guys, and I hope you like the concept for the natural ID also. And if yes, then you are going to like the video, subscribe the channel, and going to share it with your friends also. If you want to learn about some previous concepts like JDBC, Java 8 feature, or any thing from the Maven, then you can watch our other playlist also. Everything is available there, and just keep supporting as always. Thanks everyone.